Everybody, I'm John Doyle, project designer for Woodsmith Magazine, and I'm here with Steve Johnson, the Shop Craftsman today, and we're going to talk about the latest team-up project that we built for the magazine, and it's this weekend workbench. So I designed it, you built it, and got it in the magazine, and you already have it in here and using it.
We got it photographed, and then I immediately latched onto it to replace a warped workbench and been loving it.
So you've had it in here for a few weeks now?
Yeah, maybe close to a month. So yeah. I'm already starting to scar up the top and
breaking it in.
Get stains on it. So
yeah. So I guess just a bit about the design process of this workbench. It's kind of a Frankenstein of workbenches and projects that we've had in Shop Notes and Workbench Magazine and Woodsmith Magazine. So we're both pretty lucky here that we've got to participate in a lot of projects and use a lot of different workbenches. Most people, they'll build a workbench and use it, or maybe ever build a second workbench.
Right.
But we've got to use a lot, so we've got a lot of different ideas.
Yeah, if you just look around the shop, there's several different kinds of workbenches.
Yeah. And we've had even more than that come through and come and go over the years. So I guess what I was kind of going after when I started building or designing this workbench was a lot of times we'll do some sort of fancy heirloom workbench out of solid wood, and I wanted to kind of make it more accessible and use materials you can get from the home center or joinery that most people can do in their shop. So I chose to use MDF for the top, and then Douglas fir for most of the rest of the construction of the project. And I don't know, I've talked about MDF tops with a lot of people, woodworking purists, and I get a lot of, poo-poo it and kind of like, MDF is junk, why would you use MDF? But I built a workbench probably at least 10 years ago with an MDF top like this, and it's held up quite well. You've had
these have been really abused. This is MDF, and these are over 10 years old.
Yeah, they're probably 20 years old and used daily in heavy use. And so, MDF is pretty hard.
And flat.
Flat is the great thing. It's cheap.
Right.
So you can, really get a flat, strong workbench quickly. This one has 2 layers of full coverage MDF, and then 2 more layers of just kind of skirted around the outside where the dog holes are, and then just so you
about 2/3 of what a full sheet would
so
be.
just kind of in the middle here isn't
and it's
4
heavy,
layers, but
really
so it's heavy. It's not going to walk off on you. It's flat.
And it doesn't rack. With a workbench, you want a heavier. Once you get it in position, you love the weight, because you don't want the bench to rack or walk around the floor if you're pounding on it and stuff. A woodworking bench, you're going to have bench dogs and some kind of on this we use the Veritas dogs, which have the pop-in dog with the screw on the end, but some will have a tail vise.
Yep. And I like the round dogs just because they're easy to add later. You can just drill a 3/4 inch hole, wherever you want. If you don't do it right away, you can do it after the fact. And
you can also use a bench hold down. Most bench hold downs fit in a 3/4 inch hole.
Yep.
The nice thing is your fir, when we bought this fir, we didn't machine any of it. Usually when you do a workbench, you're going to joint one surface, plane the other side. You're going to dress all the lumber. Here, we just cut it to size and glued it on. So you didn't have to have a joiner, you didn't have to have a planer, and you didn't have to joint the top of the bench. So you end up with a pretty nice workbench.
And then the one thing about MDF is it is really, flat and strong on the face, but it is brittle. Get out on the edges or the corners, and that'll chip up and break up. So we did do a edging with 2x4 fir stock to kind of cover that up and make it a little bit stronger on the edges. But that makes a pretty easy usable top. And then I don't know, did you use a lacquer finish on this?
Yeah, I put like 4 coats of lacquer. Well, we oiled it first just to give it a little color, let that dry a couple days, and I can't remember, 3-4 coats of heavy lacquer. But even so, it'll eventually need scraped, sanded, and then resprayed.
And that just kind of keeps, it makes it easy to get, glue off.
Pop the glue
off the surface, and then if you do get any moisture on here, it won't swell up the MDF. So just a little bit of protection goes a long way. And then going down to the base, it is actually, we were building a picnic table project in the TV show this last season. And the joinery kind of mimics that. It's pretty simple. It's made from 2x4 stock. And then the mortises are actually created when these two pieces are separate. So you're just cutting dados on each side to create the mortises. And then when they're glued together, it creates that, you know, the full mortise and tenon joinery there. So it's, you know, pretty easy to do. You're not chopping out mortises by hand. You're doing it at the table saw with a dado blade. And then we added a drawer case. You could leave that out. A lot of workbenches, you know, just have a shelf there, so that's one option. And then I'll pull out one of the drawers here.
Yeah.
It's a pretty deep case, so instead of making the drawer full length and you're trying to get all the way back in there, I left these tails at the end. So as you're pulling out your drawer, you get to the end of usable space, and these tails are still sticking inside the box. So you're not pulling out the drawer and then you get to the end and it just falls on the floor. You know to stop at that shelf and it's still supported. So it's pretty minor detail, but you know.
It's nice to have that storage by the bench though,
Yeah.
for incidentals like measuring and clamps and
Yep,
stuff.
and
So
kind of throw stuff in there, smaller stuff in there, and keep the dust off.
it holds quite a bit, really.
Yeah.
And you could even make two of those and stack them if you wanted to.
Yeah,
Two
absolutely.
of these cases, you could probably get two under there and still have a little bit of storage under the top.
And then on the ends, we have some pegboard. We want to store some tools on the side that way. The pegboard mimics the workbench that you guys use here in the shop. It has pegboard on the ends for tools, so I kind of got that idea from that. So I don't know, yeah, it seems like it's been a pretty good project, and
Yep.
I don't know, was it pretty quick to build?
It wasn't too bad. I think it took me, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks.
So most
And, I
normal
had to have a lot of
humans-
help moving it around because it was so heavy, but that was the only downside, is it is very heavy to work on.
Right.
But once you get it in situ, it's great. So
So if you built it in a couple weeks, a normal woodworker would take about a year.
yeah, I'm working, 6 to 8 hours a day.
Right.
So
Nights, weekends,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
takes. So
even though you don't have to joint and plane anything, there was still a lot of parts. and
Right,
there was
yeah.
some joinery on the base, and
you got gluing up.
still have
and-
to fit things together. And
Yeah, takes time. So
the vise is a little, you need to flip the top over to install this, or kind of prop it up underneath because it's kind of a heavy unit, and it has a spacer under here that's.
so it helps to have a friend to be on the other end flipping this. It's
Yeah,
not
you
something
definitely
wanna-
need a helper.
Yeah. So, but well, it's a pretty big compliment to me that you decided to bring this into your
Absolutely.
work area and use it after building it. Just didn't go to the dumpster
No.
after the fact. That would have been kind of sad.
That's right.
But yeah, so that's, I guess, kind of the overview of this workbench.
it.
And if you guys have any questions or comments, shoot us an email or comment and let us know. Thanks.